3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, what's going on? This is Ash on Comics. Before we watch the video, this is a bit of a disclaimer. Originally, this video was going to be just a comic review of X-Men 7. The comic reviews are videos that I try to keep between 10 and 15 minutes long. I know that I've broken that in the past couple of videos because I've been mixing it. The Ash On videos are meant to be more of an in-depth, focusing on the book, talking about various issues that maybe the book makes me think about that may not be just part of the book itself, and so forth. So I want to kind of separate the two. I really don't want to do half-hour videos all the time. I know that not everyone wants to watch half-hour videos all the time. So this is a disclaimer. What you're about to see after everything is said and done is only about a 15-minute video because it really was done like a review. But the reason why I changed it, and I'm doing this disclaimer, is because I really went off track. And I know I could do that a lot. I go in the weeds a lot. But this one, even more so than usual, I get in a pretty big rant about what's going on, why it affects me, why it bothered me. And you're going to see more. Now, if you're a person who hates drama stuff, I get it. And my channel, you know, is really not really about that. And I appreciate you making it this far, listening to my videos. And I have no hard feelings if you don't want to hear what I have to say. However, I do think that I did have something to say. I do think that the video came across pretty well, even if it was kind of off topic. But it's an important topic. And it's not here for me to just get clicks and stuff. I'm a real person. I'm a real fan just like you. And I like comics, and things about the industry bother me as much as there are certain things that I enjoy. And I want to be able to cover all things, and I want to be genuine to you as the audience. So this is a disclaimer warning. What you're about to watch gets pretty salty, and it's not my normal fare. And if this is your first time watching my channel, it's not indicative of what my channel normally is. I am not scrubbing it. I am going to continue to post it because I kind of like how it turned out. I think it's pretty raw, and I think it's honest, and I think it's worth talking about and hearing. So hopefully, if you watch the rest of it, you enjoy it. If you have any feedback, I'm always willing to listen to it and hear it. Let's just have a good conversation and take it for what it is. Welcome back to Ash on Comics. I'm Ash. This is today's comic. It's X-Men number 7. And originally I plan on doing a longer video on this. And, you know, before I commit to something, Eric Breen, I don't know how long this could turn out. I do intend on being short, and we'll see how that actually works. But the reason why I say I intended on doing a longer video now, is because, you know, as of today, which is, let's see, what is today? The 6th of March, 2020. There's just a lot of bullshit going on in the comic book industry right now. And the primary thing is, if you haven't been paying attention, Sean Gordon Murphy has been attempted to be canceled by SJWs in the comic industry, which started off most primarily with a tweet by Tess Fowler. If you don't know who this is, she's a D-list comic book creator who does Rat Queens over at Image. That's one of the books that Image produces to have street cred, and by street cred I mean virtue signaling points. And this is one of the reasons why Image is not bigger than it is, because most of their company is known for this is where you go to produce your progressive SJW comics that no one wants to buy, and you can fork up enough money to Image and they'll publish your book, and then you get the proceeds, which are next to none. Now, before I harp too harshly on Image, I just want to say real quick that Image does produce some of the best comics in the business, because as a creator-owned imprint, and because of the way that they're structured, they do have potential for people with real talent to make lots and lots of money. This is because back in the day, the boys, the 7, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, etc., they formed this company where, they could make some real money. Of course, they sold real comics And by real comics, I mean they sold like lots of comics, like millions. Nowadays, you know, I don't know how much Rat Queen sells, but if I were to just take a guess, I would say it's sub 10,000. Probably 5,000 units, maybe less than that. It'll be curious to know, to go and look. But anyways, this is about X-Men. And my point about this is just that she made a tweet. If you haven't been aware, if you're one of the blessed people who aren't on Twitter with all the drama, she made a tweet basically canceling Sean Gordon Murphy. I covered this in my last Ash Wednesdays video, and she said, you know, basically, I told everyone in 2017 this guy was going to be a problem. Because why? Because Sean Gordon Murphy had the audacity to draw a cover for Bigfoot Bill 2, which is an Indiegogo project by none other than Hitler reincarnate Doug Knaple. And by Hitler reincarnate, I mean he's a Christian guy who just tries to produce wholesome comics. If you look at all of his line of stuff, it's absolutely harmless. It's good for kids. It doesn't project any sort of subversive evil messages. But Doug is now known as a big hater of LGBTQ, all the other letters that go with it, because he's a Christian. And as a Christian, our beliefs, I say our because I'm a Christian, our beliefs are that acts of homosexuality are against God. God abhors this. Now, God abhors lots of things. God doesn't abhor sin. And I'm not trying to project that I'm some great holier-than-thou person because I don't agree with homosexual behavior. I also don't agree with lying. Have I lied? Yes. So I am not without sin either. But I don't glorify it. I don't walk around saying, oh, well, you know, since I lied, I'm just going to be a liar and everyone should lie. Lying's great. And like, no, I say, no, it's not. And I'm guilty of falling into temptation and I feel bad about it. And I tried really earnestly not to do it. Being a Christian doesn't mean that you live in an ivory tower and you're better than people. It means you recognize that you are a bad person and you sin and that you want to try to be better and you recognize that there's a creator. That's your belief, at least. That's your faith. That's why it's called a faith. I'm not trying to lecture anyone. I'm just trying to establish a scene and an idea, basically a perception, basically so you can get into my head where I'm coming from. Anyways, he got canceled or tried to, basically, because this is what happened. But I tweeted out today, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably would have seen it, but I tweeted out today that Tess Fowler said that she called him as a problem in 2017, which means Sean Gordon Murphy's real sin was not agreeing to do a book at all with Doug, because that's not the real issue. That's just an excuse for them to spit their hatred out. It's like the Russians with Donald Trump. That's nothing near here to that. They hated Trump before he got elected. The idea of Russians and perpetuating that narrative was just an excuse. They need something. Tess Fowler needs something. 2017, Sean Gordon Murphy wasn't planning on doing shit with Doug Knaple. And so if you were saying, I told you it was a problem in 2017, that means your problem with Sean Gordon Murphy has nothing to do with Doug Knaple. But that's what you're using now. Sean Gordon Murphy now has backed out. He's bent the knee to the gatekeepers in the industry. And they are many. And by many, I mean they're all of them. Pretty much everyone in the industry is like this. If you've read the book 1984, you know what I mean. You are either a party member of INGSOC or you're dead. They don't have it any other way. And if you've read the book, you understand where I'm coming from. Everyone must bend the knee. Everyone. You are not allowed to dissent. And it is, I try to do the whole separate the art from the artist. And I can't. Certain times I can. Chip Zdarsky, he's keeping his mouth shut. I'm sure Chip Zdarsky is a flaming liberal. And by flaming liberal, I just mean he's a hardcore leftist. I don't know if he's actually flaming. He does write Fantastic Four, so maybe he's got fantasies of being Human Torch. I don't know. But what I can say is that I'm frustrated as hell. I can separate things like Chip Zdarsky because he's putting his nose down. He's writing great comics. He's not throwing in my face any of his policies. He's not throwing, or policies, I mean like politics or ideology. He's not throwing in my face. He's not putting it in the book. He's not trying to make Marvel characters speak with his voice. He's trying to tell good stories. Marvel is selling a product. That product is good stories. I'm a consumer of comics. I love comics. I want to buy good stories. So I exchange my money. I get what I want. I walk away a happy customer. I go and promote Chip Zdarsky on Twitter. That's how it should work. I can separate the art from the artist. That's how that works. I can't separate the art from the artist of people like Tess Fowler because she's doing things that directly interfere with things that I'm happy with. I'm happy that Sean Gordon Murphy was doing the cover of Bigfoot Bill. Did I back Bigfoot Bill? No. But I love Sean Gordon Murphy. I respect Doug TenNapel. I only don't back Bigfoot Bill because it's not in my budget, and I'm really more about backing stuff in the LCSs, and that's my own prerogative. But I'm happy that they both had a positive relationship. I'm happy that Sean Gordon Murphy could just be professional and not have to worry about, the CG boogeyman or whatever. It's just he wants to make comics and he wants to treat his fans with respect and dignity. I can get that. Oh, that's my timer. Sorry about that. That means I'm running long. So at this point, this video is almost kind of pointless for what it was originally going to be. It turned out I was going to do an X-Men video, and it became a rant about the industry. So why don't I really want to do a long-form video, as Eric's like looking at his watch right now and tapping his wrist like, I told you, Ash. Why? Because I've had it. And X-Men 7 represents kind of what I'm talking about. Now, was Jonathan Hickman a flaming liberal SJW? I don't know. He didn't give me the perception that he was, but he's writing this X-Men story. And when I say X-Men story, I mean all of Dawn of X. Now, this is specifically about X-Men 7, but this book is subversive. When I talk about, being subversive, I'm talking like really just getting under your subconscious and sneaking in. One of the biggest problems and the failures that SJWs have had in comics is that they don't know how to write. They are shit. And they just go out and put blanket propaganda and they think that's writing. Jonathan Hickman is actually a real talented writer. And that's dangerous when you take someone who's got a crazy ideology, potentially. I don't know. I'm not accusing. I'm just saying potentially. And they really know how to write. Jonathan Hickman can sneak that in and make it sound like... And that's what makes it more insidious. We can easily reject when someone's just flapping propaganda on our face and we recognize it and go, oh my God, that's just blatant propaganda, and we can reject it. But when it's done in a really subtle fashion, which Hickman can do, like I said, I use the word subversive too much. Now in this book, it's all about the X-Men. It's thematically about this concept of the X-Men are ethno-supremacists. They're a big fascist state, and they believe that they are better than everyone else in the world because they're mutants. Because they have this X gene, they are better. Now, in some ways, you can actually say that's true because they have powers and everything. But that's not what equality, when we talk about human rights and things like that, civil rights and equality, has nothing to do with being better. Okay? Mutants are better to humans in the same way that I am better than a quadriplegic, right? I just am in that same, and if you take it in that context, but I'm not actually better than a quadriplegic. We're both humans. We both have the same inalienable rights. We both have the same right to existence, and we're both equal in God's eyes, or your creator's eyes, or whatever sense you want to take it. That's what Xavier's dream used to be about. It's about equality. It didn't matter that he had powers or whatever. Still equal. We're all equal people. It's not about, I can do something you can't do. Everyone can do something that someone else can't do. But Jonathan Hickman's not writing about that. He's writing a fascist, ethno-supremacist apology letter, and he's doing it through comics, and he's doing it in a way that's got really interesting world building, really interesting plotting, and makes you go, this is cool. And before you know it, you're rooting for Hitler. Now, is it really Hitler? No, but it does follow a lot of the same things that happened that turned 1930s Germany into 1940s Germany. Okay? And if you study that history, it wasn't like Germany just turned overnight and said, let's kill Jews. That's not what happened. That same thing here with Krakoa. It's not like it's just an overnight thing. Now, I'm really sickened in this book about this idea that, 1 million mutants were removed of their powers by Scarlet Witch, who was herself a mutant. Then Marvel decided to retcon it, said, nah, she's not a mutant anymore. But a bunch of bullshit. Anyways, they lost all their powers. So now the mutants of Krakoa, in all their elitism and everything, have decided that that they're not worthy of being mutants. They don't get their powers back because these other mutants have lost their powers have realized, hey, we can just die and be resurrected. That's part of our birthright as mutants. And if we resurrect, we won't be under Wanda's curse anymore. But surprise, the X-Men have said no to that. No. If you don't have powers, you don't get them back until you prove yourself. Now, all the other mutants that do have their powers do not have to prove themselves. They just get to get kidnapped from their countries, or they can just flee of their own free will, whatever you talk about it. And if they die, they get resurrected. But the ones that were victims, the ones that was no fault of their own, lost their powers, they do not get to be fixed. No. That would be something that would be right to do. And the X-Men don't do right things. Speaking of right things, take a look at this panel here as Wolverine sits basically naked under his little, what the hell is this robe that he's wearing, as presumably maybe he and Scott just did the business. It's really freaking creepy. It's really unnecessary. And before you start throwing in my face like, homosexuality is not bad, you can be open-minded, Ash, these two characters are not gay. Stop doing the Iceman thing. Or just make everyone gay. Fine, just make everyone gay. I've been saying it for a long time. Make every single character a black lesbian so we can finally shut the SJWs up and they can go cry about something else. But this book really got under my skin. I do not like this idea that not only do these mutants not get their powers back because of the elitism and the racial supremacy, but they have to prove themselves. And how do they prove themselves? By submitting to gladiatorial combat like ancient Romans and getting butchered while everyone cheers on. It's brutal, it's horrendous, it's ugly, like everything that comes out of leftist cancel culture. I hated this book. I hate the art still. I'm so done. I don't want to get this anymore. I don't want to go on about this. I think I've made my point. X-Men sucks. Marvel Comics, for the most part, sucks. Cancel culture sucks. SJWs ruin everything. And if you go, Ash, I'm so sick of that term SJWs. I hate it too, but guess what? They exist. And they're out there pissing on everything. So this was an extra salty rant. Hopefully it didn't get your... Here you go. Let's leave us on this here. This is what they did to a child while her parents and siblings all watched on. And they were happy about it because they're sick, demented, twisted people. And Jonathan Hickman is not some moron who doesn't know what he's doing. And that's what makes it all the worse to me. Thanks for watching.